صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Can we please recite Al-Fatiha for the souls of the marhumin, of all those who are present here today? Assalamu alaikum, everybody. At this time, inshallah, we'll have our beautiful Ansar al-Mahdi group. They are going to perform some, I believe, some anashid and some Quran recitations led by our dear sister Hadil Thompson. So give them a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر صدق الله العلي الرحيم العلي العظيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث صدق الله العلي العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا أقسم بهذا البلد وأنت حل بهذا البلد ووالد وما ولد لقد خلقنا الإنسان في كبد أيحسب أن لن يقدر عليه أحد يقول أهلكت مالا لبدا أيحسب أن لم يره أحد ألم نجعل له عينين ولسانا وشفتين وهديناهم نجدين فلاقتحم العقبة وما أدراك ما العقبة فك رقبة أو إطعام في يوم ذي مسغبة يتيما ذا مغربة أو مسكينا ذا متربة ثم كان من الذين آمنوا وتواصوا بالصبر وتواصوا بالمرحمة أولئك أصحاب الميمنة والذين كفروا بآياتنا هم أصحاب المشأمة عليهم نار مؤصدة. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. يا رضا حبيتك مشهد عنيتك، يا رضا حبيتك مشهد عنيتك، دلالي ناداك علي أبو محمد هواك علي، دلالي ناداك علي أبو محمد هواك علي، مشتاقة طريق لرضا الروح، مشتاقة للرضا تريد تروح، مشتاقة مشتاقة رضا الروح، مشتاقة للرضا تريد تروح، مشتاقة علي الرضا علي الرضا علي الرضا علي الرضا علي الرضا علي الرضا.
Let's give one more loud salawat for the beautiful children who recited today. Congratulations to all of you mu'mineen and mu'minat for the birth of the wonderful Imam al-Ali Rida alayhi salam. Today we are honored and blessed to have our dear Syed Tayyab al-Mosavi, who is here with us today. Syed Tayyab is no stranger to this community. He blessed us with his presence last year during this time, and inshallah he's going to bless us again with his presence for the next about 6 to 7 nights. And Syed Tayyab is at the forefront of spreading the message of Islam and the Ahl al-Bayt here in Southern California and around America. And inshallah he'll be with us until Muharram. So please help me in welcoming him with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يوصينا معه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون، الذي لا يدركه بهد الهمم ولا يناله غوث الفتن، الذي ليس لصفته حد محدود ولا نعت موجود ولا وقت محدود ولا أجل ممدود، فترى الخلائق بقدرته ونشر الرياح برحمته ووتد بالصخور ميدان عرض، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وحبيبنا وحبيب رب العالمين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين، واللعن على أعدائهم أجمعين من أول يوم ظلمهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المبين وقوله الحق: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يؤتي الحكمة من يشاء ومن يؤت الحكمة فقد أوتي خيرا كثيرا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, it's a blessing to see all of you again this year. And inshallah, as Brother Tariq said, the next 6 or 7 Thursdays, I will be here. And inshallah, we all can benefit from these lectures that we will be giving these next couple of weeks. But tonight, we're commemorating the wiladat of the 8th Imam of Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. We're commemorating the wiladat of that personality who Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam has denoted as Alim ala Muhammad. As we're all aware, all of the Imams, they're all ulama. But why is it that Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam denoted this Imam as Imam or Alim Muhammad, or the knowledgeable one of Alim Muhammad, or the Alim of Alim Muhammad? Because when it comes to Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, if you've all read his history, if you've read his biography, you know the amount of knowledge that was spread for Islam in his time period. When you look at any of our books of fiqh, you see that a lot of the narrations that come to us about fiqh, they come from which Imam? They come from Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. Yet, he's not known as Alim ala Muhammad. It's Imam Riza alayhi salam who's known as Alim ala Muhammad. And why is that? Inshallah, by the end of the lecture, we'll get to it. But what I want to talk about in this lecture is some of the more important things that Imam Riza alayhi salam focused on in his life period. If you all focus on the lives of the Imams, you see that all of them are renowned for something specific. What do I mean? When I speak about Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, everyone will talk about Amir al-Mu'mineen's what? What is Amir al-Mu'mineen renowned for? Either his courage or what? His knowledge when it comes to Nahj Balagha. When we talk about Imam Hassan alayhi salam, Imam Hassan alayhi salam is known as what? He's known as what? Al-Mushtaba, yes. Karima ala Muhammad. He's been given that title of Karima ala Muhammad. Thank you so much. Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam, he's known through his shahadat. Imam Zain al-Abidin, he's known through his ibadat. Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam, he's known through his ilm. Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, he's known through his ilm and his sadaqat, meaning his ilm and his truthfulness. The same way Imam Musa Kazim alayhi salam, he's known for what? Patience, the name Kazim. Imam Riza alayhi salam, what was he known for? Why was he even given that title of Rida? His name is Ali, the title that he was given was Rida. Why was he given that title? Because if you look at all of the Imams, those titles that they were given, or those titles that all of these Imams are remembered by, are specific to each and specific to each and every single one of these Imams. When it comes to Imam Riza alayhi salam, there's so much knowledge that he gave. If you look at his biography, you see that he spoke so much on Tawheed. If you look at his biography, you see that he spoke so much in regards to Imamat, in regards to the Wilayat. But the question that a lot of people have in regards, before anyone says to the children, this is the age where the Aima alayhim salam, these young children that I see, this is the age where the Imams, they said that they are queens, they are princes, and they're princes. So these children, they're princes and princesses of this community. Please do not shush them. I know it might be distracting to you, but for me, it's no problem. But it is this age where these children, no matter how much you tell them to shush, they will not be quiet. So it distracts me more when I hear shish from the community than it distracts me when I hear these children talking. So it does not bother me. So please, if it does not bother me, it should not bother you all. But sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Let them walk around, let them do whatever they want to do. But when it comes to this Imam, one of the questions that is always asked about Imam Riza alayhi salam is, why did he accept to be Wali al-Amr? If you look at the history of Imam Riza alayhi salam, Ma'mun Rashid, he told him that he was going to give up Khilafat itself. He was going to give it Khilafat and he was going to make him Khalifa. That was the initial reason that he wanted to bring Imam Riza alayhi salam, or that was the reason that he gave to bring Imam Riza alayhi salam to where? To Tus. But what was the actual reason? Imam, Mamun, he wanted to keep Imam under house arrest. He knew the knowledge. One, he knew the knowledge that this Imam was spreading. Two, something for all of us to learn by. Imam Riza alayhi salam, he had a brother by the name of Zayd, his younger brother, by the name of Zayd. And if you look at the history of all of these brothers of the Imams that are known as Zayd, that have been given that name of Zayd, for example, Zayd al-Shahid, everyone knows Zayd al-Shahid. But not a lot of people know about Zayd ibn Musa Kazim, this brother of Imam Riza alayhi salam. This Zayd was given the title Zayd al, does anyone know? Zayd al-Nar, I think I just heard it from the ladies. Zayd al-Nar. What did Zayd do? He rose up against the Abbasids. Zayd, what he ended up doing was when he rose up, he started burning the houses of the Abbasid clan and anyone that supported the Abbasid government. He burned the houses down. When he burned the houses down, Mamun Rashid, he caught him and he asked him, Zayd, you're our cousin. Because they're from Banu Hashim too. He goes, Zayd, you're our cousin. When you rose up and you started burning houses down, why is it that you started burning the houses of your cousin first? Why did you not burn the houses, for example, of Banu Adi? Why did you not burn the houses of Banu Umayyah? Why did you not burn the houses of all the other enemies of Ahlul Bayt al-Imsam? What does Zayd reply? Zayd, he says, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, I made a mistake. If you let me go, I'll correct this mistake. Meaning what? If you let me go, I'll burn their houses down also. This was Zayd. When he was forgiven by Mamun, Zayd, he comes back, and Imam Riza alayhi salam, he was very upset with him because of the action. This action and another action. Zayd used to always go around the market and he used to boast about himself, about how he's the offspring of an Imam. And in some communities, you have these types of people. They're Sadat, yes, but they demand respect. And the Imam in this story, he tells you what? No, disrespect. And whenever it's talked about, whenever the Sadat talk or there's a narration about the offspring of Fatima, Lady Zahra, where the narration it states that fire will not touch the offspring of Lady Zahra. The fire will not touch the offspring of Lady Zahra. And Zayd, he was using this narration and he was telling people that I am the offspring of Lady Zahra, so fire will not touch it. Imam Riza alayhi salam, when he heard that he was boasting like this, he calls him and he says to him, Zayd, the people of Kufa who narrate this narration, have you become conceited because of what they say? And Zayd goes, what do you mean? He goes, this narration is only and only for Hassan, Hussein, and specific personalities from the family of Zahra. It doesn't apply to everyone. It doesn't apply to everyone. You tell me, if you did not act, Imam Riza alayhi salam, he's saying this to his own brother, who's also a Syed. He says, you tell me, if you do not act the same way your father acts, if you do not act the same way that your father acts, and you do things that are contrary to what your father does, do you think you will be in the same place as your father on the Day of Judgment? Do you think you'll be in the same place? Who is the father of Zayd? Imam Musa Kazim alayhi salam. Do you think you'll be in the same place as your father? He goes, you have to remember that Nabiullah Nuh also had a son. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when Nabiullah Nuh says, oh my Lord, that's my son, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, he's not from your ahl. He's not from your offspring. He's not from your ahl. Why is that? Because the character, Imam himself, he explained it. He says, because the character of the son of Nabiullah Nuh was not the same as the character of Nabiullah Nuh. And because the character wasn't the same, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says that he's not your ahl. And He says to His brother, it can be the same for the offsprings of the imams also. It can be the same. And the imam himself, he says that, look, for those who consider or for those who claim to be the offspring of the imam, their reward will be twofold and their punishment will also be twofold. It's not easy to claim, yes, you're a Syed. You can claim that you're a Syed, but you have to remember, as soon as you claim you're a Syed, maybe the community will give you respect. But on the day of judgment, you'll be punished twofold for the crimes that you've committed, and you will be rewarded twofold. Why? Imam Rizal himself explains punishment. Why? Because your akhlaq, your morals were contrary to who you gave yourself nisbat to, meaning the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. You claim to be from their offspring, but you did contrary to what they did. Because of that, one punishment is for the sin, one punishment is for claiming to be from their offspring and then committing that sin. And if you get rewarded, you'll be rewarded or you'll be rewarded double. Why? One for doing the good deed, the other for being from that offspring and doing the good deed. And this is not just for Sadat. This type of arrogance or this type of superiority complex that exists in many of us, you see it here. It takes the form of race. It takes the form of what? The country that you come from. This idea that I'm better than someone else, it takes different forms. And the Imams, they did everything they can to get rid of this mentality from a Muslim's mind. Just look at, from Imam Muhammad Baqir al-Islam all the way to the 11th Imam, to get rid of this idea that, you know what, Arabs are better than everyone else, or Persians are better than everyone else, or this type of people are better than. What did all these Imams do? What did all they do? They all married people that were non-Arabs. Married people that were non-Arabs. A lot of the wives of the Imams are coming from what area of the world? Africa, Maghribiya. From the Maghrib. Today it's known as what? Known as what? Morocco. Today known as Morocco, but Maghribiya at that time was larger than Morocco. Algeria, Morocco, all these countries, they were there. Look at where the Imams are marrying from to get rid of this idea that yes, race matters. The only thing that matters in Islam, as the Imams put it, is what? Your taqwa, that's it. The taqwa that you have. And this is what the Imam is telling his brother. You and I might have the same father, but your taqwa level and my taqwa level is not the same. You and I might have the same father, but your taqwa level and our father's taqwa level is not the same. At the end of the day, that is the only thing that matters. Taqwa. That's it. You look at this Imam, his whole life, what did he try to do? He was under house arrest, one. And when he was under house arrest, when I say house arrest, when he was brought to Tuz, he was basically under house arrest, where he really couldn't do anything without Mamun knowing exactly where he is and what he's doing. But even when he was in Medina, Mamun had his spies. Imam, he accepted Wali al-Amr or Wali al-Ahad. Why? Because Mamun, he had finally threatened him. Mamun, he initially told Imam Riza alayhi salam that he's going to give up Khilafat and he's going to name him the Khalifa. He's going to name him Khalifa. And the Imam, he looks at him and he says, Mamun, two things. if you allow me to speak freely, I'm going to tell you two things. And Mamun, he goes, what is it? He goes, one, if this khilafat, look at the way the Imam answers. He goes, if this khilafat was truly given to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you can't give it up. Why? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose you for it. And then he goes, no, if this wasn't given to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and this khilafat belongs to someone else, then how can you give up something that doesn't belong to you? Allahumma salli ala. How can you give up something that doesn't belong to you? This is when Mamun gets angry. He goes, oh my cousin, I think the only reason that you don't want to accept it is because you want to appear in front of the masses as you're a God-fearing person. You just want to appear that way. Mamun is telling this to Imam Riza alayhi salam. And Imam, he replies, Mamun, no, I don't need this government. I don't need this government. The only reason that you want me to accept this government is why? Because you want to be able to tell the people that Imam Riza alayhi salam, meaning me, I am here just for this government. That's it. You want to be able to tell people what? That this line of Amir al-Mu'mineen, this line of Lady Zahra, all of them, they left Khilafat alone. But now me, I'm dying for Khilafat. You want to tell people this. And Mamun gets even angry. He goes, I'm your cousin, why do you speak to me that way? Do you not know what my status is? And Imam, he says to him, did I not ask you to let me speak freely? That's when Mamun, he tells him, if you don't want Khilafat, fine, but you will be forced to be Wali al-Amr. If you don't accept Wali al-Amr, then it will be your head. It will be your head. And that's when the Imam, he says to him that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told me. These are the words in the narration. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told me what? To not kill myself for this reason. If I am given this option, then I need to choose to be the Wali al-Amr. Wali al-Amr. A lot of people, when ulama, they come here and they speak about, for example, what I just said, Imam Riza alayhi salam saying, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told me. A lot of people, they have this image that we're taking the imams to the level of the prophets. But no, you have to remember that when it comes to speaking with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's wahi and then there is ilham. The imams, they are ashab al-ilham. They're sahib al-ilham. Meaning what? Meaning whatever that they're told, they're not told through Jibreel alayhi salam. وَمَا يَنْتِقُ الْحَوَىٰ. This verse of the Quran, the Aima, the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, they share in this verse. What is the difference? The difference is that the Holy Prophet, for the Holy Prophet Jibreel alayhi salam, he came with the verses. That is wahi. That's wahi. For the Imams, it's not like this. For the Imams, it's ilham. And it's through that ilham, they say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered me this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered me that. You see this same reasoning with Imam Musa Kazim alayhi salam. When it comes to the Imam Musa Kazim alayhi salam and it came to Imam Riza alayhi salam's mother, the narration state that Imam alayhi salam, he told one of his companions, do you know that a person from Al-Maghrib has come here? And his companion says, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, I didn't know that. And the Imam, he says, I want you to come with me to the market. He has a slave girl that I'm going to buy. So they go to the market. They go to this person. And Imam, he asks this person to let him see all the slaves. He shows him the slaves. And then the Imam, he asks him, you have another one. You have a lady. Why don't you show her to me? And the man, he says, no, I can't. She's sick. She's sick. And the Imam, he says, that's fine. Let me see her. And he says, no. Imam, he goes back. He goes back and he tells his companion the next day that I want you to go back to the market and I want you to ask him, however much you want for that lady, I'm willing to pay. Tell him that. The companion, he goes and he says to that man, tell me, what is the maximum that you want for that lady who you claim is sick? And he says, this is how much I want. He goes, okay, I'll give you that much. I'll give you that much. But then before he gives her, he says to this companion, who was the man that came with you yesterday? And he goes, he's from the Banu Hashim clan. Banu Hashim, which Banu Hashim? Is he from the leaders of that clan or no? He goes, I don't know. I can't tell you more than that. All I know is that he's from Banu Hashim clan. That's it. So when he hears that he's from the Banu Hashim clan, he says that I want more than this. Whatever the agreed upon price was, after he finds out that he's from Banu Hashim clan, he says that I want more than this. And the companion says, I don't have more than this. This is the maximum you wanted. This is how much you will get. And this man, he says, look, I'll tell you something about this lady that I have in the back. When I was bringing her from Maghrib, when I had captured her and I was bringing her, one of the people from Ahl Kitab, a nun, she told me, who's this woman for? And he says that I told her that this woman is for me. And she said, no, this woman cannot be for you. Because I see the asar on this woman's face, and this woman is going to be for the best of mankind. Why? Because she's going to have an offspring that is the best of mankind, which the East nor the West has seen. So tell me who that man was. He says, that man was from Banu Hashim. Right now, he is the best of mankind. Imam, when this woman was brought back, Imam tells his companion, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had ordered me to buy this woman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had ordered me. What does this mean? This means that just as the mother of Nabiullah Isa was chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just as the mother of Prophet Ismail was chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just as the mother of Prophet Musa alayhi salam was chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the mothers of the Aimah alayhim salam, they're all chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're all chosen. And if you read their history, you see that they, all of them, were pure. All of them were pure. Their taharat, I'm not saying their taharat was at the level of Lady Zahra salawat Allah. No. Taharat has degrees. Ismat has degrees. Taharat has degrees. It has levels. It has darajat. It has darajat. For example, Ismat of Nabila Ibrahim. Is it at the same level? Or when it comes to Ismat, who's at a higher level? The last prophet or Nabila Ibrahim? If we claim that the last prophet is the greatest of all prophets, there must be a reason for that claim. What is that reason? What is that reason? When it comes to Ismat, we claim that the last prophet is the greatest, meaning that he holds the highest level of Isma. When it comes to knowledge, the Holy Prophet holds the highest level of knowledge. When it comes to all of these, the Holy Prophet holds the highest level. So if he holds the highest level, that means that Nabila Ibrahim is not at that level. As soon as you say that Nabila Ibrahim is not at the same level of Isma as the Holy Prophet, now you have two levels. Now you have two levels, logically speaking. So if there can be two levels, then there can be three levels, there can be four levels, there can be five levels. And when it comes to these levels, what do the Imams say? When it comes to Iman, there are 10 levels of Iman. There are 10 levels of Iman. And Amir al-Mu'mineen, when it comes to some of his companions, he says that some of them were at that 10th level of Iman. And this is why, brothers and sisters, you realize that within the community, when it comes to Iman, everyone's at a different level. Everyone's at a different. Some people are just beginning to understand the religion. Level 1, you want to give them level 2, level 3. Some people know, they've read about the religion and their level is a bit higher. A bit higher. And what happens sometimes when the person whose level of Iman is a bit higher, they start engaging in conversation with that person whose level of Iman is just a bit lower. They start arguing. And this, you see that this happened a lot during the time of the Imams with the companions. This is the reason that the Holy Prophet said what? About Salman and Abu Zar. If Abu Zar knew what was in Salman's heart, he would have truly killed Salman. Why? Because the level of Iman of Salman was higher than the level of Iman of Abu Zar. Level of Iman is different. But there are narrations for both of them. The Holy Prophet says about both of them, Salman minni Ahlul Bayt, and there's narrations that also state Abu Zar minna Ahlul Bayt. They're both from the Ahlul Bayt, meaning that their akhlaq, meaning that what they perceived or what they showed themselves to be like in front of others were the same morals that the imams they showed to the people. Both of them, because of that, the imams or the Holy Prophet said they're from the Ahlul Bayt, but their iman is at different levels. And because their iman is at different levels, it's hard for Salman to just quickly bring up Abu Zar. And it's the same within the communities. Not everyone's level of iman is the same. So the ones that's level of iman is a bit higher, they have to be a bit more forgiving. Especially the adults. Why do I say this? Because a lot of the adults that are here in America, they've come from a country where their iman or where their foundation was laid down. A lot of them. Where their foundation was laid down. Now the children, their foundation isn't laid down the way the adults' foundation was laid down. Meaning what? Meaning a lot of the countries, when it was Muharram, they would go to Majalis. Pakistan, India, Lebanon, Iran, Iraq. When it was Muharram, they would always go to Majalis. If you come from Iran, if you come from Iraq, every Thursday night you would go to the Haram. You would go to the Harams, right? So the elders, their foundation was laid down. And what happens a lot of the time in the communities, the elders, they want the youngsters to be at that same level that they're at. That does not happen within 1 hour. That does not happen within a month. No, just as it took time for you to get to that level, it will take time for them also. It will take time for them also. And this is the reason that the imams, they say, look, the children that I see in front of me, up to the age of 7, leave them alone. Up to the age of 7, leave them alone. When they turn 7, that's when you start teaching them about Islam. That's when you actually start teaching them about Islam. Why? Because by the time they're 7, that's when they are willing to learn a bit. By 7 years, what grade are they in? First grade, second grade, correct? First grade, second grade, by 7 years old. By that time, they're focused more. At 5, at 6, no, this is all they want to do. This is it. And this is the reason the imams, they say that up to this age, leave them alone. They're princes and princesses. Leave them alone. But when they turn 7, then start teaching them. But how should you teach them? The way that some of us were taught in madaris back in India, Pakistan, Iran, Iraq, this way that some of us were taught in some of these Islamic countries where the disciplining is more and the education is less? No. That's not the way to teach. And you see that in the communities that we live in this country, the Quran, and mashallah, I commend the management for getting the kids to this position where they're memorized these small surahs of the Quran at this young age. And inshallah, I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that little by little, if not the last section of the Quran, or if not the whole Quran, at the very least the last section of the Quran, these youngsters, they will memorize that last part of the Quran. But this is the way to teach them. The way that they've memorized. I can guarantee that the way these youngsters memorize the Quran here is completely different from the way that they make you memorize the Quran in India and Pakistan. Completely different. Completely different. Here, you're taught with love. You're taught with kindness. Over there, you're taught with strictness. You're taught with, some of you all know, you're taught with a ruler. You're taught with a meter stick. You're taught with a shoe. That's how you're taught. But that's not the way to teach. And this is a perfect example. And Imam Riza alayhi salam, what was he doing? His debates that he had in his time period, there were so many problems within Islam itself. There's so many groups of Muslims that had come up within Islam. Imam Riza alayhi salam, he had to deal with each and every single one of them. In the time of Imam Riza alayhi salam, not only them, but the philosophers from Greek, the philosophers from India, the philosophers from all of these other regions, Mamun was bringing them, and Imam Riza alayhi salam was having to deal with them also. Deal with them also. So when Imam Riza alayhi salam came to Tus, what did he focus on? He focused on Usul ad-Din. Usul ad-Din. And brothers and sisters, this country that you and I live in, this is what needs to be focused on primarily. The salat needs to be focused on, yes. The siyam needs to be focused on, yes. But you have to remember that that is faro'. That is secondary. Is there salat? Does salat have any meaning if they don't even believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? No. Does the fasting have any meaning if they don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? No. If they don't understand Jahannam and Jannat, does it have any meaning? No. It doesn't. And what is the most famous narration of Imam Riza alayhi salam? The most famous, when he was being taken from Medina to Tus, when he came to Nishapur, what was his most famous narration? Silsilat al-Zahab. I'm sure everyone knows about it. Where Imam Riza alayhi salam, he says what? La ilaha illallah hasni. The kalima of La ilaha illallah is a fortress. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that this kalima of La ilaha illallah is my fortress. And anyone that enters my fortress is safe from my azab. This kalima. Imam Riza alayhi salam, he also, there's another narration, but instead of the word La ilaha illallah, the phrase is Hubb Ali ibn Abi Talib hasni. The love of Ali ibn Abi Talib is my fortress. And anyone that enters my fortress is safe from my azab. The wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen. These are the things that Imam Riza alayhi salam focused on. The wilayat. And what does he say in this narration? Bishurutiha. If you want to enter this fortress, that's perfectly fine. This kalima of La ilaha illallah is my fortress. Anyone that enters this fortress is safe from my azab. Imam, he goes on to say what? Bishurutiha. But it has shurut. It has conditions. And I am one of those conditions. Meaning that imamat is one of those conditions. Why is imamat? Why did Imam Riza alayhi salam say that imamat is one of those conditions? Why? Because if you all remember Ayatul Balligh, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say in that verse? When it was revealed in Ghadir Khum, He says, O my Rasul, if you do not proclaim what has been sent down to you, it's that you've not proclaimed anything, or it's that if you've not done anything for Risalat. Ya ayyuha Rasul, balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik. If you do not, then it's as if you have not done anything for Risalat. What is the objective of Risalat? To spread Tawheed. Imam Riza alayhi salam, he says, Bishurutiha. If you want to get out, or if you want to enter that fortress, that there's shurut, and that shart, the first shart is me, imamat. Imamat. And this is what Imam Riza alayhi salam, he also focused on. Mamun, I don't have too much time, but Mamun, he questioned the Imam about imamat. Mamun, he questioned the Imam about ismat of the Anbiya. Mamun, he questioned the Imam about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His oneness. In the time of Imam Riza alayhi salam, there was a companion who had asked over 15,000 questions in his lifetime to Imam Riza alayhi salam. And these questions, they dealt with a lot of the questions that we all have. For example, why do we have to believe? Why is it necessary to believe in one God? Why is it that we have to believe in prophethood? Why is it that we have to believe in imamat? Why is it, for example, why is it that we start the prayer, Allahu Akbar, and we end the prayer, La ilaha illallah, or the azan? We start with Allahu Akbar, we end it with La ilaha illallah. Why is it that we have 4 takbeers in the azan? Why is it that we have 2 takbeers in the qama? Why is it? Imam Riza alayhi salam, he answers all of these. But while he's answering, he says there's many answers for this. One of the answers is, he always said one of the answers is, for example, takbir or azan. We started with Allahu Akbar. We ended with La ilaha illallah. The Imam, he says, the reason that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it like this is because so that you start with His name and you end with His name. The first word that you say in the azan is Allah. The last word that you will say in that call to prayers is Allah. Imam, he says, look, this is one of the reasons. Why? So from the beginning to the end, you remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the beginning, you'll remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the end, you'll remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To the call to prayers. And now when you start your prayer, again, now when you're starting, you'll remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the type of knowledge Alim Muhammad left for all of us. Left for all of us. And it was because of this knowledge, Imam alayhi salam, he was martyred. Mamun knew that if he was to leave the Imam to do what he's doing, spread the knowledge of the Ahlul Bayt, then he would have no followers. Everyone would leave him and they'd start following Imam Riza alayhi salam. And to stop that, that is the reason that he poisoned him. That is the reason. And what is our duty, brothers and sisters? And this is what I'm going to end with. What is our duty? The Imam, he's not Zahir in front of us. But the knowledge that he imparted, the knowledge that he left, it is our duty to understand that knowledge and to spread that knowledge to either others or the coming generation. That is what our duty is. That is what the duty of a Shia is, to spread the knowledge of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. And this is what Imam Riza alayhi salam, Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam, all of them, they say, any one of our Shias that spreads our knowledge, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on them. Any one of us, any one of them. And in this day and age of technology, it's become easier. Instead of wasting 2, 3, 4, or 5 hours on social media just browsing, put a hadith from Imam Riza alayhi salam. Put a hadith from Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. How many people will benefit from that hadith? How many people will benefit? I can tell you myself, I've benefited from hadiths that I've seen on social media, which I did not see in some of the books. But at the same time, I have to go and verify that, yes, it is in that book. That's absolutely true. But I have benefited. So if I can benefit from this, that means that everyone can also benefit from this. And how much thawab will that person that allowed me to benefit from that one hadith get? Why? Because I come on these manabir and then I repeat that hadith. How much thawab would that person get? And this is what you all need to think about. How much thawab will you get for doing the same thing? And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that in this day and age, He keeps us on the path of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He keeps this community and all of the other Shias that are waiting and asking for the hastening of the real prince of Imam Zaman. Allow for Imam Zaman alayhi salam to appear as soon as possible. Let us, our families, and anyone that is willing to sacrifice their life for him and his cause, be able to sacrifice their life for him and his cause. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. I know from the last time, I don't know if we're still doing it, Brother Tariq, but from last time it was like a 5-minute question answer. So if you all have any questions, yes.